What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Manji TV. I'm your host, Rattlers, and today we have this super sick E36 M3 4-door saloon on the lift for some new mods. It's got some really cool stuff already installed. We'll be getting into the nitty-gritty of how to do these things, but first off, we're going to be installing a SuperSprint exhaust, headers, and full catback system. We also have a SharkBite tune to be installed, paired with these larger injectors that the customer has already installed. He's got a Porsche mass airflow sensor, Dynon intake, complete cooling system upgrade with electric fan, and a bunch of other mods like some Turner control arms and KW suspension. Let's go ahead, give you a quick look at these parts. All right, guys, here we have our SuperSprint headers. These are stainless steel construction, direct from SuperSprint. We also have the mid pipe and the muffler is already installed on the car, so we'll be going ahead and mating that up to these here. We also have these beautiful Turner arms, which are not only monoball and just a beefier construction, they also add some caster. Here we have the adapter for the mass airflow sensor to the OEM connector. Inside this bad boy, we got the Shark injector, part number N3M3 cams, CAMS. This is for the larger injectors, and I believe maybe a cam. I'm not 100% sure, actually. The customer just supplied us with this. We've also got a bunch of little adapters to make the control arms work, some new hardware, and some little clamps to make the exhaust mate to the rest of the exhaust. There's also some other stuff in the car we'll be showing you here in a second, and some of the components have actually been installed but need to be, like that mass airflow sensor, need to be finished. So there is a little issue as well with the control arm creating too much caster in the wheel well, but I guess this car also had too much caster to begin with, even before the control arm, so that's something else that we got to sort out. But first things first, we're going to go ahead, tear into this exhaust system, get that manifold off the engine, which is really a pain in the butt. There's so many bolts. This thing is super clean though, got some really nice stuff like this PureTech brace that ties into the rear subframe, and overall the car is in really good shape. So super stoked to have this car in the shop, super stoked to be modifying it and hopefully get this thing into tip-top shape. We did also find like a coolant leak and some other stuff, which we'll probably be addressing while the car is here. Nonetheless, let's stop talking about it and get to it. All right, guys, before I take the car up, I've gone ahead and disconnected our coil pack harness just to give us a little bit more room here, as well as our secondary air pump valve. There's a line that runs from the secondary air pump over here over to the valve, which we've gone ahead and removed. Put on the table here. We're gonna go ahead and keep moving forward and get these headers off the car. They're really quite a little bit of a pain in the butt, but nonetheless, we'll go ahead and get most of it from the bottom side, and what we can't get from the bottom side, we'll do here from the top. But now we're gonna go ahead and take the car up and keep moving forward. All right, guys, quick look at everything. We've got the exhaust disconnected here at the back. We already have the SuperSprint back half installed in the car. Here we've disconnected it from the stock mid pipe. We've also gone ahead and disconnected our O2 sensor connectors here. There are 2 bolts. One was a 10, one was an 8. Maybe different on yours, maybe both 8s, both 10s, not sure. Connects here to the chassis harness. Will fall down with the exhaust. And we've also gone ahead and disconnected the exhaust from the stock manifolds. So the whole system is actually ready to come down. The only thing hanging it up are these middle hangers here, which do just slip off, or you can pull the 13 mil bolts, which I've gone ahead and chosen to do. I'm gonna go ahead and get some help from Braden here, and then we'll go ahead and bring this whole system down and move on to installing the SuperSprint headers and mid pipe. So let's go ahead, get that off, and then we'll go ahead and start tackling these stock tubular manifolds. All right, guys, so we went ahead and removed the cross brace that ties the front subframe into the chassis here. So we've gone ahead and removed that to get more access to the factory manifolds. As hopefully you can see here, most of the bolts are already missing the nuts. So they're working diligently to get these bad boys off. There is one nut that's really a pain in the butt on the top side of this tube here. Hopefully you guys can see that tube for the secondary air injection. One of the bolts is very hard to get to, which I think I'll have to get from the top. I'm gonna go ahead and continue and try and get as many as I can on this forward header. The front header is definitely harder as you have the AC pump, sway bar, steering rack, and everything else kind of motor mount in the way. So that one's definitely gonna take a little more time. The rear one is basically out. We'll go ahead and get that bad boy off, which will give us more room to get the front one on. And once we get more of that hardware out, we'll show you that here in a sec. All right, guys, so it's critical that you guys get this secondary air injection pipe removed to be able to access all the bolts for the manifolds. I'll show you guys now. I was able to actually get the front manifold completely off. Had to work it from the top to get that pipe out, as well as the rest of the bolts. Now that all that is out, I believe there's only one bolt left holding the back one in right here. And so we're gonna go ahead and pop that as well. Pull the rear manifold out and the front manifold out. Get the O2 sensors switched over to our headers and get those new headers installed and torqued into place. So let's get to it. The trick here was a wobbly and an 11 mil socket. Most of them this worked perfectly. A few of them I had to use without the wobble. We're gonna go ahead and get the last bolt. There it is. Go ahead, pull our manifold down. I actually forgot to pull the connectors off the top of the engine, so I'm gonna have to go back up and pull that. But don't forget to do that. You do want to disconnect these O2 sensors before you go ahead and pull the manifolds. Otherwise, you have to break them while they're in place, which I'll probably just do real quick, is just pop this O2 sensor. But nonetheless, there they are. They're free and ready to come out. All right, guys, before we finish installing these headers, we're gonna go ahead and install these IRP polyurethane engine and transmission mounts. So we're going to start with the engine mounts. I'll probably go ahead and start with the driver's side here, just because it is more of a pain in the butt, especially with these Turner arms. The factory arm actually has a hole that you can go through. With these, it's going to be really fun because there is no hole. So we'll go ahead and get those nuts loose, get both these motor mounts out of the way, get the new IRP ones in, and then we will go ahead and install. Let's get to it. All right, guys, so I've gone ahead, popped the upper nuts. It's a 16 mil nut. As you can actually see, the motor mounts are basically out. It's gonna take a little finesse to get them all the way out, but we can see that there. I've got the nut in my hand. We're gonna go ahead, go from below, get the lower nuts, and then get these new IRP mounts in. So let's go. All right, guys, we got one motor mount out, but with these Turner arms, the way they're shaped, they're just a little thicker, and this driver's side won't come out. So I think I'm gonna have to pop this mount here and just let the arm fall down slightly. But as you can see, the motor mount is out of the way, both sides. So we're gonna go ahead and get the IRP one in on this passenger side, get this arm down on the driver's side, and get that little motor mount out of the way. So let's do it. So what's cool is you can just thread the stud in through the top, and then the motor mount will sit, and then we do have this pin on the bottom, which locates into the stud frame so it won't turn. We've gone ahead and located ours on the driver's side as well. Now I'm just trying to get that stud lined up with the hole and thread it in, get it started so that we don't run into any issues cross-threading, which is probably the trickiest part about undoing the whole thing. Just making sure you don't cross-thread it into the lower section. I believe I've got it actually here. Oh, no. Anyhow, I'm gonna have to put the camera down. It's gonna take two hands, but you can see here what it looks like. That stud is actually just loose on the top side. So we're gonna go ahead and get that threaded into this lower section, and then we'll get it tightened down from above and put all our nuts on and move on to the transmission mounts, which should be fairly easy. These I'm not even sure we'll have to pull the transmission down or the bracket down. We'll probably just be able to do it in place. All right, guys, we have the first bank SuperSprint header in. We've got the O2 sensor tightened. As you can see, all the hardware is on. You do need to pay attention to which studs mount the secondary air injection spot right here. Do not put those nuts on until you have your actual pipe on. I accidentally did on the front header, kind of just jamming through it, torqued it all down, and so I will have to take out two of the nuts to get that pipe on. But for now, she's ready for the secondary header. The gasket will go on first, and then we'll slip the header in with the new hardware, tighten in our O2 sensor, and all will be good. These things fit amazing. It is a little tight clearance up here, so note that we did torque these motor mounts to 33 foot-pounds. As you can see, the poly is kind of flexing as well, but that must be how they want it. That's the torque spec for the factory motor mount, so we've gone with that. There was nothing I could find about instructions from IRP. Anyhow, everything is looking great. We're gonna go ahead, keep moving forward, get this secondary header in, and then we will work on the mid-pipe, the SuperSprint mid-pipe, attaching it to this back SuperSprint box. So full SuperSprint exhaust going in. Super stoked about that. Can't wait to hear how it sounds. I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. Once we do that, we will have to play around with these control arms because we're having a little issue, even stuff like this, this end-link. End-link actually may be the reason for the additional caster. Not totally sure, there's some weird stuff going on. So we gotta figure out why this arm has so much caster and why it's rubbing on the fender well here. You can see, obviously it's not bolted in, but even when it was quite tight. Anyhow, we're gonna keep moving forward. We're getting there, so let's get the secondary header in and get this car started. I really want to hear how it sounds. I'm sure it's going to sound amazing. So nonetheless, keep moving on. All right, guys, we're working on the transmission mounts. I've gone ahead and got basically all the header bolts tight. Still a little bit more to do, but I decided to jump forward and get these transmission mounts out of the way, which you can see are now missing. They're not there. They are quite easy. We have two 13mm bolts on the bottom, or nuts, and two 13mm on the top. The top side has this slit, which goes towards the back of the car. Those help locate it left to right, so they don't spin when you turn them. Anyhow, the lower bolt does have to be completely removed. The upper does not. They slide right out real easy. We've got our new IRP mounts here. We're going to be opening these up for you guys, showing you what's inside the bag. The mount should be quite nice, paired with the solid engine mount. So what's cool about these is they're multi-piece construction, which makes it easy to get in, and they are also a through bolt. So don't lose your hardware, but they should be quite easy to install. Being they're a through bolt, we're going to put the Allen key up and the nut facing down. It really doesn't matter, actually. I think that makes the most sense. Although maybe easier to go nut up just because the Allen key is harder to deal with. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and get these bad boys in the car. I'll let you know which way we choose. All right, guys, you can see the IRP transmission mounts here in place. We ended up putting the Allen head down just because I didn't feel like there was enough room for the Allen to go above, just in case there were some clearance issues here at the Guibo and whatnot. So we've chosen to do it that way. Slightly bent this up just a little bit to get a little more room. All right, guys, it's finally time to open this SuperSprint mid-pipe. Been waiting to see how this thing looks. Let's go ahead and pop her open. Brands I want to think or believe for the E36. Personally, I think Akrapovic makes something. They'll probably be my first choice, but SuperSprint would be next. I know for headers at least, SuperSprint is the go-to. Just as you guys saw, they fit amazing. This whole system is pretty freaking sweet. You can see here the SuperSprint stainless 304, 785, 422, I believe that's the part number. We're going to be going ahead and fitting this mid-pipe to the car. Can't wait to hear how this thing sounds. It should sound amazing. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get this mid-pipe mocked up. For some weird reason, it's missing one exhaust bung. Got to figure that out. Quite strange, but we're going to get it test fitted in the car and just make sure everything fits as it should. So. All right, guys, the headers are done. The exhaust SuperSprint is in. I was going to add a bung myself right here for the secondary bank, but because we're missing a clamp here, and I totally could mod it myself, but to be honest, I don't have any B-bands or any of the like stuff that I would really like to use. So I'm just going to take it down to our local exhaust shop, Richard's Performance Muffler, who I do really enjoy working with. They do great work. I'm going to take it down to them and let it become their problem. They'll probably end up cutting it. You know, I don't necessarily want them to weld the whole thing together, so I'm going to ask for some V-band clamps here. We'll see what they say. They may just cut it off and put some better flanges or who knows what. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and take it down to them, let them finish this up We'll get that bungee cord out of the way, but overall, the exhaust looks beautiful, fits pretty nicely. Hopefully not rubbing up here, although there is some tight clearance in a couple spots. But anyways, the headers look amazing. We're gonna go ahead, get this thing down and get her fired up. All right guys, here's a final look at everything with the secondary air valve in, the hose routed to the secondary air pump. The coil pack cover is on and tight. The coil pack ground is tight. Everything is good. The intake is back in. We do still need to repin this MAF sensor here as he switched to the Porsche unit. So I do still need to do that, but we're gonna go ahead and get this exhaust finished. Anyhow, the car is all the way down. Basically, we're gonna bring it completely down. And even though there's still this caster issue, I'm gonna get to that later. So stay tuned. We got to take this thing to the exhaust shop and get that exhaust finished. I need to move on to some other projects currently, and so we'll get back to this thing here shortly. All right guys, the exhaust is all finished up. We ended up welding in a new bung here. As you can see, we routed the wire over the front here, which is kind of the only place that it would really route nicely away from the exhaust. We've zip tied everything up and out of the way. Everything's looking good. Everything's all tight. We also added some V-bands here at the back instead of the slip fits. Now we don't have to worry about the exhaust leaking, and it should be a much easier removal in the future. Anyhow, everything's looking great. We're gonna go ahead and fire this thing up now that we've got both O2s in it, because it was running a little funky without one. And so hopefully she runs better, but everything else is looking great. The headers are looking great, and everything for the most part is done. Now we got to figure out the additional caster issue here. So we're probably going to swap the stock arm back onto the car, which is right here on the ground, back onto the car, and get rid of this turner arm just for a bit and see what happened. Anyhow. All right guys, so we've gone ahead and installed a OEM ECU here. The car originally had a Kessel Performance. You can see that white badge there says Kessel Performance. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. We've gone ahead, disconnected the transmission controller or TCU. That's a requirement. The key is out of the car. We're gonna go ahead, turn the key on. You do need to have a battery charger on the car. We've got the SharkBite here. We're gonna go ahead, turn the key on. Hopefully we don't have issues this time. For some reason, the tune didn't want to take previously. I think it may have been due to the Kessel Performance. So grab the key here. We're gonna turn the ignition on. I'm gonna pop the radio because they say to have no power draw if possible. So we're gonna turn all this stuff off as much as we can. I don't think there's a way to turn that thing off, so it is what it is. The key is on. We're gonna go ahead, install. Well, actually, I think the key's supposed to be off when I install this, so let me remove the key one more time, guys. But you get the understanding. Key off. When you turn the key on, you want to make sure that none of the electrical loads are there. We're gonna go ahead and throw this Kessel, or my bad, this SharkBite tuner on the car. Screws in, comes all the way down, kind of locks in, you hear it pop. There's two buttons. One says restore, which is to go back to stock tune. The other one says upgrade. We're gonna be hitting the upgrade button. So let's turn the key on here. Key on, ignition on. You wanna make sure that the check engine light is illuminated, which it is. The green light on the SharkBite will be on. And really all you gotta do is hit upgrade. So as you can see there, it's flashing. Eventually that's gonna go out. It should start doing its thing here shortly. I think what happens is, so the green light on the LED should now be solid. When you hit it, it will, within 3 seconds, begin to pulsate, which it is. It's still pulsating, so that's good actually, because previously it went pretty quickly to a blinking red. In approximately 1.5 to 6 minutes, the red LED will turn solid, while the green LED continues to pulsate. So currently it's just the green LED pulsating, no red light. Once the red light turns on and becomes solid, after another 1.5 minutes to about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, the red LED will turn off while the green LED continues to pulsate. This is the final check phase of reprogramming the vehicle. And then finally, after another 1 minute to 3 minutes, the green LED will stop pulsating and illuminate solid. This is your indication that the upgrade has been successful. If you see a green solid and a solid red, this indicates that the restore to stock was successful. So in tuning it, oh, look at that. Same issue potentially as before. So we've got a flashing red, which means there's been an issue. So I'm gonna have to count these blinks. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4,
5. So we have a 143 code or a 144. So there's some codes here on the back. Let's go ahead and see what happens with this. I don't know about these SharkBites, guys. They're quite funny. Final verify failure. We have a 143. DME contents not stock. Your DME is not stock. You may already have a performance software installed. The Shark Injector can only install over a stock DME. Great. So let's count this again. So we've got a 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I believe it's a 143 code. So we have blinks red once, goes out. Then we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it's a 143 code. 1, 2, 3. I guess this ECU is tuned. So yeah, Jesus. Different code than last time. Last time we had a 137, which is protocol error parameter. This time we're getting a 143, which content's not stock. So I don't know, guys. These SharkBites are quite funky. Make sure your car is completely stocked before you use a SharkBite. This car does have Kelford cams or Schritt cams and slightly ported and polled head. And we do have the 3.5 Porsche MAF sensor. So anyhow, we're going to be, I guess, pulling this thing again and trying to figure out what's up with that.
If you like this video, be sure to check out the next one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe and like the video. It helps a lot. Thanks, and see you in the next one.